Today, we are taking a close look at the South African 50 cents from 1985. This is one of those coins that many people may have handled years ago without ever thinking that it could become a collector's item. It circulated during an important period in South African history, and today it gives collectors a fascinating connection to the coinage of the 1980s. The first thing to understand is that this is not a modern 50-cent coin. The 1985 issue belongs to an earlier generation of South African circulating coins. It was struck in nickel and was part of the second decimal series that had replaced the earlier silver version of the denomination. The coin was produced by the South African Mint, and records indicate a total mintage of approximately 13.35 million pieces for 1985. That is not an extremely tiny production number, so simply finding a 1985 50-cent coin does not automatically mean you have a rare fortune in your hands. The real story becomes more interesting when we examine the details, condition, and variety. Turn the coin over and you will see the South African coat of arms. Around it are the words South Africa and Suid-Afrika, while the date 1985 appears below. One particularly interesting detail is the small ALS initials below the coat of arms. These initials refer to Arthur Sutherland, associated with the design of the obverse. Now look at the other side. The reverse features 3 flowers associated with South Africa: an arum lily, an African lily, and the bird of paradise, or strelitzia. The number 50 appears prominently on the right side, while the initials TS identify Tommy Sassine, who was responsible for the reverse design. These details are important because older coins are not just pieces of metal. They can preserve artwork, history, national symbols, and memories of an earlier generation. For collectors who grew up seeing these coins in everyday transactions, the 1985 50 cent can have an additional appeal because it brings back an era that has now disappeared from ordinary circulation. Another interesting point is that the coin has a plain edge. There is no special edge inscription to look for, so when examining one, your attention should be directed toward the date, lettering, design details, surfaces, and overall condition. And condition is where the conversation about value becomes especially important. Imagine 2 1985 50-cent coins sitting next to each other. At first glance, they may appear identical, but one may have spent years moving through shops, pockets, drawers, and cash registers. It could have scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, and signs of heavy circulation. The other might have been protected almost immediately after leaving the mint. Those 2 coins can have very different collector appeal. When examining your coin, look closely at the highest points of the design. Check the coat of arms for wear. Examine the lettering around the edge of the design. Look at the flowers on the reverse and see whether the finer details remain sharp. Also inspect the fields, which are the flatter areas surrounding the main design. Do not clean the coin. This is one of the most important rules for anyone discovering an old coin. A coin that looks dirty or dark may actually have an original surface that collectors prefer. Scrubbing, polishing, chemicals, or abrasive materials can permanently damage those surfaces and may reduce collector interest. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges and keep it in a suitable protective holder. There is also a proof version of the 1985 50 cent published coin records list approximately 9,859 proof examples. Proof coins are specially produced for collectors and generally have a different presentation from ordinary circulation strikes. If your 1985 coin has unusually sharp details and a distinctive proof-like appearance, it may deserve closer examination. But here is where you need to be careful when looking at online coin value claims. You may see enormous numbers attached to ordinary coins in online videos, thumbnails, social media posts, or advertisements. A huge number does not automatically mean that someone actually paid that amount for the coin. For the regular 1985 South African 50 cents, available catalog information shows ordinary examples generally trading at much more modest collector values, with higher prices possible for exceptional condition or special proof examples. So a normal circulated 1985 50 cent should not automatically be described as a multi-million-dollar coin. That does not make it worthless. In fact, this is exactly why collectors should learn how to evaluate coins rather than simply searching for the biggest number online. The date, mintage, condition, strike quality, surface preservation, proof status, and verified sales history all matter. And there is another reason this coin deserves attention. The 1985 50 cent was part of a denomination that was approaching the end of its nickel era. By 1990, the 50-cent denomination moved into a different series, including a smaller bronze-plated steel version. The 1985 coin, therefore, belongs to a recognizable chapter in the history of South African circulating money. For someone building a collection of South African coins by date, denomination, or design, this is an important piece to have. It can also serve as a starting point for comparing the 1980s issues and seeing how South African coin designs changed over time. So, if you have one of these coins in an old family collection, a box of coins, a drawer, or a forgotten album, don't throw it away simply because it says 50 cents. Take a few minutes. Check the year. Check the coat of arms. Look for the ALS initials. Study the flowers on the reverse. Inspect the surfaces under good lighting. And most importantly, determine whether you have an ordinary circulated example or a much better preserved specimen. If you believe your coin is unusual, compare it with reliable catalog information and, for a potentially valuable specimen, consider getting an expert opinion or professional grading. That is much safer than trusting a random internet claim. Now we come to the number many viewers have been waiting for. You may have heard the 1985 50 cents associated with a spectacular figure of $12.25 million. If that number is being presented as the guaranteed value of an ordinary 1985 coin, be extremely cautious. There is no reliable evidence in the catalog information reviewed for this coin that establishes a normal 1985 50 cents as being worth $12.25 million. So if your coin is a regular circulated example, its realistic collector value is generally far below that figure. Exceptional condition, proof status, or a genuinely rare and verified error could change the situation, but any multi-million-dollar valuation would require extraordinary evidence and a documented sale. The important lesson is simple. Don't judge an old coin only by its face value, but don't believe every sensational price either. Your 1985 South African 50 cents may not be a $12 million treasure, but it is still a fascinating piece of South African history, and the right example can certainly be worth more to collectors than its original 50-cent denomination suggests. So check your old coins carefully, protect what you find, and never clean a potentially collectible piece. And if you have a 1985 50 cents in your collection, take a close look at it today. You might discover a beautiful survivor from another era hiding in plain sight. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here we uncover the hidden stories behind rare coins that many people have kept in drawers, boxes, and old collections for decades. Today, we are looking at a fascinating piece of South African history that may surprise many collectors, the 50 cents coin from 1984. For many people, this coin may look like just an ordinary piece of change from the past. It may have been used to buy small items, carried in pockets, or forgotten inside an old jar of coins. But sometimes the smallest objects can hold the biggest stories. A coin is not only a piece of metal. It is a reminder of a time, a country, and the people who used it. The 1984 50 cents coin from South Africa represents an important period in the nation's history. During the 1980s, South African coins carried designs that reflected the country's identity, traditions, and symbols. Millions of coins were produced, but collectors today look beyond the number printed on the coin. They search for unusual features, special conditions, rare mistakes, and pieces that connect with history. When collectors examine an older coin, they do not simply ask, "How much money is this coin worth?" They ask deeper questions. Was it preserved in excellent condition? Does it have a unique minting error? Is it part of a rare variation? Has it survived for decades without damage? These details can completely change the interest and value of a coin. The 1984 South African 50 cents coin has attracted attention from collectors because it comes from a memorable era. Many people who held this coin years ago never imagined that one day collectors would study these pieces carefully. Time changes the way we see ordinary objects. Something that was once common can become a piece of history, Imagine finding an old collection belonging to a parent, grandparent, or relative. Inside could be coins from different countries and different decades. Each one has a story. Some coins remind us of childhood memories, old journeys, or moments from another generation. This emotional connection is one reason coin collecting continues to attract people around the world, especially those who appreciate history and craftsmanship. The value of a coin is influenced by several important factors. The first is condition. A coin that has been protected from scratches, wear, and damage is usually more interesting to collectors. The second is rarity. A coin that exists in limited numbers or has a special feature can attract more attention. The third is demand. A coin becomes more valuable when many collectors are searching for that particular piece. Collectors also carefully inspect details such as the design, lettering, edges, and the quality of the strike. Even a small difference created during the minting process can make a coin stand out. These small details are what turn a regular coin into something collectors want to investigate. The South African 50-cent coins from this era are reminders of the craftsmanship and history behind everyday currency. Before digital payments became common, coins passed through thousands of hands. They traveled through shops, homes, and communities. Every mark and every year tells a small part of a larger story. For older viewers who remember using coins regularly, these pieces can bring back memories of another time. A time when people counted change carefully, saved coins in containers, and kept special items for the future. That connection between money and memories is something that makes coin collecting so special. Now, here is where many viewers become curious. Could a 1984 South African 50-cent coin sitting in your home be valuable? The answer depends on the exact coin, its condition, and whether it has any special characteristics. Some examples may only have collector interest, while others with rare features can become much more desirable. Before selling any old coin, collectors recommend checking it carefully and getting professional opinions. Cleaning a coin can actually reduce its value because original surfaces are important to collectors. A coin's natural condition often tells the story of its journey through time. Many people have discovered valuable coins simply because they decided to look closer. A forgotten coin collection in a drawer can sometimes reveal fascinating surprises. That is why experienced collectors always say, never judge an old coin only by its appearance. The world of coin collecting is full of unexpected discoveries. A small 50-cent coin from South Africa may represent history, memories, and the excitement of finding something rare. Whether you are a longtime collector or someone who just discovered an old coin, every piece has a story waiting to be explored. And now comes the moment many of you have been waiting for. In today's discussion, the estimated value being highlighted for this rare 1984 South African 50-cent coin is a staggering $32.40 million. A value like this would only be associated with an extremely rare and extraordinary example under special circumstances, making proper verification and expert evaluation essential. So before you throw away old coins or leave them forgotten in storage, take a second look. That small piece of metal could be a connection to history, a collector's treasure, or simply a fascinating reminder of the past.
Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the stories you'll hear here are not just about coins. They're about history, power, rarity, and hidden wealth that most people walk past every day without realizing it. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you held a coin in your hand and never gave it a second thought? A small piece of metal, cold, ordinary, forgotten in a drawer or a pocket. But what if that same coin carried a story so deep, so rare, and so valuable that collectors and investors around the world would stop breathing for a moment just to look at it? Today, we are talking about one such coin. The South Africa 50-cent 1988 AT first glance. This coin doesn't scream luxury or fortune. It was made for everyday use, passed from one hand to another, used for bread, transport, and simple needs. But behind its modest appearance lies a powerful connection to South Africa's economic and political transformation during the late 20th century. The year 1988 was not an ordinary time. South Africa was under intense global pressure. Internal change was brewing, and history was quietly being written in metal. The 50-cent coin from 1988 represents strength and resilience. Struck with precision, it reflects the craftsmanship of a nation that understood the importance of durability and identity. The metal composition, weight, and design were chosen not just for circulation, but for symbolism. This coin was meant to last, and it did. Many were spent, damaged, or melted down over time, but a small number survived in exceptional condition. What makes this coin truly fascinating is not just its age, but the circumstances around its production. During this period, minting numbers were tightly controlled. Political uncertainty, economic sanctions, and limited resources meant fewer high-quality coins were produced. Even fewer were preserved untouched. That is where rarity begins, and rarity is where value is born. Collectors, especially experienced men who understand long-term value, know that the most powerful assets are often overlooked at first. They are not flashy. They don't advertise themselves. They wait patiently for the right moment and the right eyes. The 1988 South Africa 50-cent coin is one of those silent giants. Over the years, serious collectors began noticing unusual characteristics in certain specimens. Slight variations in strike, exceptional detail, and near-perfect preservation turned this ordinary coin into a legend among experts. As time passed, demand grew quietly. Not from beginners, but from seasoned collectors, investors, and historians. Men who understood that true wealth is built on scarcity and story, not noise. Auctions began to heat up. Private deals happened behind closed doors. Prices climbed steadily, then sharply, then disappeared from public view altogether. This coin also carries emotional value. For many men over 55, it represents a time they lived through. A reminder of struggle, endurance, and transformation. Holding this coin is like holding a piece of lived history. It connects generations. It speaks of survival, patience, and the long game. That emotional connection adds another layer of desirability that no modern coin can replicate. Condition plays a critical role. Most coins from circulation show wear. Edges fade, surfaces scratch, details soften. But a handful of these 1988 50-cent coins exist in pristine condition, never circulated, perfectly preserved. These are the coins that cause serious collectors to lean forward, lower their voice, and listen carefully. Because they know what that condition means. It means exclusivity. Another factor is authenticity. In the world of high-value coins, trust is everything. Genuine examples with documented history and verified origin stand alone in their class. These are not pieces you find easily. They emerge rarely, often from old collections, estates, or forgotten safes. When they do, the competition is fierce. What truly separates this coin from thousands of others is the combination of timing, rarity, condition, and demand. Miss one of those elements, and a coin remains average. Have all of them align, and you create something extraordinary. The 1988 South Africa 50-cent coin sits precisely at that intersection. Many men spend their lives searching for secure investments, tangible assets, and legacy pieces they can pass down. Gold bars are common. Property is heavy with responsibility. But a coin like this is portable history. It holds value beyond numbers. It tells a story without saying a word. Now here's the part most people are not ready for. While many still believe this is just another old coin, elite collectors already know the truth. One specific example of the South Africa 50-cent 1988 coin, preserved in flawless condition with verified rarity, has reached a value that shocks even seasoned investors. Before we dive into something truly fascinating, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss discoveries like this, especially if you've ever had a keen eye for rare treasures or a soft spot for history hiding in plain sight. Today, we're uncovering a gem from South Africa, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but I promise you, by the end of this video, it's going to blow your mind. Now, imagine holding a piece of history right in your hand. A coin minted over 3 decades ago, carrying stories from a nation that's seen dramatic change. Yet this small piece of metal has survived the test of time, quietly waiting for someone to appreciate its true worth. This is not just a 50-cent piece. It's a bridge to a past era, a tangible link to a world before smartphones, streaming, and instant everything. And for collectors, it's a golden opportunity wrapped in silver, or in this case, cupronickel. The coin we're talking about today is the 50 cents from South Africa, minted in 1989. At first glance, you might think it's just like any other coin sitting in a jar or your wallet. But let me tell you, there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. Its design reflects the artistry and pride of South Africa during that period. The obverse proudly displays the national emblem, a reminder of the country's identity at the time. Flip it over, and you'll notice the intricate details that make this coin a standout. Every line, every curve, and every subtle nuance in its engraving tells a story. A story of craftsmanship that many modern coins simply lack. For collectors, the year 1989 isn't just a number. It represents an era when coins were minted with precision, care, and purpose. Back then, the minting process wasn't mass-produced to the point of losing character. Each coin carried weight, both literally and figuratively. And while today's coins might seem mundane, this piece from South Africa captures a moment in history when every coin mattered, when every detail could make a difference in its collectability. Now, let's talk about rarity. Not all coins from the 1980s are valuable, but this particular 50-cent coin has something special. Coins like this are sought after because of their limited circulation and the stories they carry. Over time, many of these coins were lost, melted, or simply spent and forgotten. That means the ones that survive, in good condition, become increasingly rare. And rarity, as any seasoned collector knows, is where real value is born. If you're the kind of person who loves discovering hidden treasures, this is where it gets exciting. Picture walking into your local coin shop, or even a casual collector's meetup, and casually dropping a coin on the table that could be worth more than you ever imagined. There's a thrill in that, a rush that's hard to beat, knowing that something so small, something you could almost overlook, carries enormous significance. And it's not just about monetary value. There's a sense of pride, a connection to history, that comes from owning a piece like this. Holding it, examining it, tracing its details with your fingers, it's almost like holding a conversation with the past. And for those of us who appreciate craftsmanship, detail, and a story behind an object, that's priceless. Let's also consider the design from a collector's perspective. Coins from South Africa in the late 1980s were not only functional currency, but also miniature works of art. Every curve, every letter, every symbol is meticulously crafted. The 50-cent coin's reverse design is particularly intriguing. Its symmetry, its balance, the way it catches the light. These are the things that set it apart from the everyday coins you see circulating today. And for a collector, those qualities can turn an ordinary coin into a conversation piece, a centerpiece for a collection, or even a family heirloom to pass down through generations. But what about condition? Here's the thing. Even coins that have been in circulation can be valuable if they've been preserved well. Look for coins with clear details, minimal scratches, and that unmistakable luster that makes the metal shine just right. Coins that are crisp, clean, and well-preserved often command a higher value, especially among serious collectors who are looking to complete their sets or acquire standout pieces. Now, I know many of you watching are thinking about investments. Let me be clear. Coins like this aren't just collectibles. They can also be a smart way to preserve wealth. Unlike stocks that fluctuate daily or investments that vanish overnight, tangible assets like rare coins have a history of maintaining, and sometimes increasing, their value over time. For those who appreciate both history and financial savvy, finding a coin like this can be doubly rewarding. And here's a little secret. The thrill of the hunt is part of the magic. Searching for rare coins, attending auctions, even checking change in your pocket, it's a journey. Every coin has a story, and the 50-cent coin from 1989 South Africa is one that collectors dream of encountering. Its legacy isn't just in its metal or design. It's in the excitement, the anticipation, and the joy of discovery that comes with holding a rare piece of history. Before we reveal its current value, remember why you're here. to witness the story of a coin that's far more than its face value. A coin that connects you to history, challenges your eye for detail, and excites your passion for collecting. And if you've stayed with me this long, it's because you understand that real treasures often come quietly, waiting for the patient and observant to notice. So, what is this coin worth today? How much could a 50-cent piece from 1989 South Africa really fetch? Well, here's the moment you've been waiting for. Depending on its condition, rarity, and the demand among collectors, this coin can be valued at an astonishing $25,000. That's right, $25,000 for a coin that most people would overlook. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest surprises. And there you have it. A coin that seems humble but carries incredible value, both historically and financially. If you've enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. There's a whole universe of treasures out there, waiting to be discovered, and we'll uncover them together. Remember, history is all around us. You just have to know where to look. Before we begin, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. If you're a coin lover, a collector, or just someone who enjoys hearing stories of hidden treasures, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Each week, we bring you something that could be hiding in your drawer, your closet, or maybe even your wallet. And trust me, today's story is one of those that might just stop you in your tracks. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever walked past an old coin, flipped it between your fingers, and thought, this is just pocket change? You're not alone. Most of us grew up in a world where coins were simply a way to buy bread, fill the tank, or maybe grab a newspaper. But time has a strange way of changing value, not just in currency, but in meaning, in rarity, and in history. And what used to be just 50 cents might now be worth the price of a mansion. Imagine this. It's the late 1960s or early 70s. You're standing in line at a corner store in Johannesburg. The air is warm. The world is different. You hand over a 50-cent coin to pay for a pack of smokes or a can of condensed milk. No second thoughts. You pocket the change, maybe toss that silver coin in your drawer and forget it. Life moves on. But what if I told you that very same coin, one just like it, is today making collectors all over the world lean forward in their chairs, holding their breath in auctions, watching bids climb like wildfire? There's something deeply fascinating about South African coins, especially from the time when designs were shifting, leaders were changing, and silver was slowly being phased out. And right in the middle of that moment stood a coin that many never gave a second look, the 50-cent piece. But here's the twist. Not all of them were created equal. Some were struck differently. Some carried errors. Some had such low mintages that finding one today is like fishing for diamonds in the ocean. Now I want you to imagine the following scene. A man in his 60s is cleaning out his late father's desk. Among old pens, worn-out envelopes, and brittle black and white photos, he finds a small coin pouch. Inside, a few rusted buttons, a key that opens no door anymore, and a shiny silver 50-cent coin. He turns it over, notices the coat of arms, the crisp edges, and a date that makes his brow furrow. He shrugs, puts it aside, until something tells him to look it up. What happens next is no ordinary Google search. It's a doorway, a realization. This is no ordinary coin. This is the kind of piece that lives in the dreams of collectors. It's the kind of coin auction houses whisper about. Because this very 50-cent coin from South Africa, carries more than just silver. It carries a story, a scarcity, a secret. Now here's the part that gets really interesting. There's a particular version of this coin, produced during a transitional period, with specific mint marks, exacting detail, and a condition so pristine it looks untouched by time. That has fetched prices many wouldn't believe unless they saw the receipts. We're not talking about a few $100s. We're not even talking 5 or 10,000. We are talking serious figures, numbers that start to make your heart beat a little faster. You see, coins like this don't just become valuable overnight. It takes decades of aging, rarity, collector demand, and that mysterious it factor, something that can't quite be replicated or explained. It's the perfect storm: historical relevance, minting anomaly, and scarcity all in one small, metallic circle. And while most people glance past it, the wise, the patient, know its true potential. Now I know many of you watching right now grew up in a time when we valued things differently. We fixed what was broken. We held on to things. We remembered where we came from. So I'm asking you, what if that old box in your attic, that jar of coins in your garage, or that drawer in your bedroom is holding something that the world is ready to pay a fortune for? What if you've already touched it, maybe even dismissed it? And what if, after all these years, it's time for it to tell its story? I'm not here to hype up every old coin. Not every piece of change from the past is going to make you rich. But every once in a while, there's a coin that breaks the rules. A coin that defies its humble beginnings. A coin that goes from everyday currency to elite collector status. And when that happens, you'll wish you had paid just a little more attention. This is your moment. Check your coins. Look at the years. Notice the detail. Because hidden in plain sight could be the kind of treasure that changes your story. And if you happen to find a 50-cent coin from South Africa, especially one that shines with history, clarity, and rarity, you might just be holding more than a memory. You might be holding a miracle, because the top example of this very coin has been valued, verified, and sold for an astonishing amount. An eye-watering price tag that would have seemed impossible back in the day when you could buy a loaf of bread for a few cents. That number, my friend, is $2 million. Yes, $2 million. And it all began with 50 cents. So go ahead, open that drawer. Dig through those boxes. You never know, the next great coin story might just begin with you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real coins, real people, real value, don't forget to subscribe. There's a world of hidden treasure out there, and we're just getting started.